love talk. Let's jump into some free agency talk here, Emilio, if you don't mind.
Let's do it.
I like to do this whenever we add players in free agency. I like to kind of look at, some people will say, did they make their team better? Or look at who they signed, and that's all they'll focus on. But they won't focus on who they lost as well. So, you'll hear the signings that, Detroit made this year, right? And I heard somebody earlier today, I can't remember what sports talk it was there locally in Wisconsin, but somebody had said something along the lines of Detroit took everybody in the North took a step forward other than Green Bay. And they said Detroit took a step forward. I'm going, how did Detroit take a step forward? Somebody help me with this. Let me make sure I understand this correctly. Would you be willing to bet the farm that Aiden Hutchinson's going to be better this year than he was previously before the injury?
No.
I wouldn't. Okay. Would you be willing to say that the offensive line is in a better shape without Frank Ragnow than previously?
I'm going to say no to that one as well.
You see what I'm saying? And on top of that, they won. What'd they win? They win 14 games or 15 games?
15, right?
Yeah,
they had one more than the Vikings.
Yeah. So if they won 15 games last year and you're saying they took a step forward, then you got to be telling me you think they're going to win 16 games. Bet the farm on that, Hosscat.
Right.
Nobody's willing to do that. So stop blowing smoke as if they took this step forward. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, too. They also lost Ben Johnson. Do you think that helps them or hurts them?
Right. Just because the offensive coordinator is coming from the same, coaching tree or whatever, he was under Ben Johnson does not mean absolutely anything compared to what this team could be this year. You know what I mean? There's no way you can say that he's going to bring that same heat of Ben Johnson. He could call games differently. He could see things differently. And then him transferring from whatever he was before, passing game coordinator, run game coordinator, whatever. Now you're worried about the whole offense. You're worried how the O-line's moving. You're worried about, your quarterback. All these things that, that it's an unknown at this point.
It really is, man. It really is. So, again, I think they took a step. We didn't even mention Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn, a great defense.
Don't even need to because the offense has already got enough stuff going on over there that, Dan Campbell better step up this year.
Absolutely. All right, so here are the free agency additions and subtractions. I like how PFF set this up, so if you could see this okay. It's showing the 2026 assets for next year. Cap space, $35.5 million for the Packers. That is fifth most in the league. Okay. Now, additions / re-signings. Okay. Aaron Banks, and these are just top three against the top three. All right. Aaron Banks was the 72nd ranked, according to PFF, free agency that was a free agent that was available. Mecole Hardman was the 114th ranked free agent available. And Nate Hobbs was the 85th ranked free agent available. Okay. Now, who did we lose? We lost Eric Stokes, who they seen as the 188th ranked free agent, Josh Myers, who was 129th, and TJ Slayton, who was 201. Now, whether you agree with those rankings or not, I haven't seen any other free agency rankings. This is just easy to grab off PFF's site. But when you look at the net gain there, think about this. Aaron Banks in place of Josh Myers. You went from 129 and improved to 72. I don't know how many, what would that be? Roughly 47 spots. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So you improved there, and we know he's not going to be playing center. Elton's going to play center, but that's the trade-off there. You traded Eric Stokes for Nate Hobbs. Eric Stokes was 188th on their ranking in free agency. Nate Hobbs is 85th. So you jumped 100 spots there. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And then TJ Slayton, obviously we're not going to compare apples to apples here with Mecole Hardman. A little bit different body build there. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty similar. TJ slimmed down a little bit.
I think Mecole Hardman could play zero tech, right? I think he can.
Oh, yeah. Everybody did back in Pee Wee, Clay. I mean, you had the nose guard was always like 20 pounds, man. You just tell him to get in there.
Exactly. So TJ Slayton was 201st, and everybody's looking at Mecole Hardman like that signing was just chopped liver. Mm-hmm. They had him ranked 114th, better than any of the players that we lost. So the point is, according to PFF, and again, it's not the gospel. You guys know how I feel about it. My goodness, man, you improved tremendously in free agency.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a positive across the board. No matter how you're kind of looking at the numbers, even if you didn't go off that rankings, I'm sure you could pull some of the pass block sets. I'm sure you could pull some coverage stats, from Eric Stokes versus Nate Hobbs. So beyond just looking at the ranking numbers, you could kind of back that up with some data. It's just like you said, we're not going to go digging that up just to build it for this. But looking at what Goody did is, hey, we're moving in a positive direction. We're always trying to get better. You don't, sometimes you don't need to pay top dollar. Sometimes you do. And right. Sometimes you have to move on from somebody. Like, look at Eric Stokes, first round pick, Josh Myers, second round pick. Right. So you have to be able to move on from either your mistakes or things that just didn't work out that you had previously decided on.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because you guys know I say that all the time. I say the only thing worse than making a bad draft pick is refusing to admit you made a bad draft pick.
Right.
Goody turned the corner here. He realized Josh Myers was a bad pick, Eric Stokes was a bad pick. And it'd be real easy to try to kind of reaffirm that, hey, I made the right decision, so I'm going to re-sign these guys, because that is a lot. You'll look 5-10 years down the road. 10's a little long. You'll look 5 years down the road and go, how good was this draft class? Well, they're no longer on the roster, right? So it's easy to try to get some current praise by re-signing someone as if, no, he's better than we think he is. So you got to tip your cap to Goody for lowering the ego and saying, hey, we missed on these guys. I think that's absolutely huge. CJN in the chat says, watched a certain podcast the other day, and they were saying that Aaron Banks' addition wasn't that big of a deal because he wasn't that good. I think I heard the same pod, CJN. And what are they gauging it off of? You know what I mean? Like, I try to put myself in people's shoes, and I can't remember how many sacks Aaron Banks allowed. You guys might know the number right offhand, but it was that was one of the statistics. Like, dang, he didn't allow hardly any sacks. And you look at a guy that obviously they're wanting to get bigger, much bigger than they have in the past. PFF has him at 6'5", 325. I heard some people say he's 6'6". I don't know. But you seem to be going larger with this new offensive line, drafting Anthony Belton and then going with Aaron Banks. So you're kind of going to that bully ball mode with duo, and what Philly likes to do with that bigger offensive line as well. But, I mean, when you look at what he did last year, a 65.4, that's a solid grade in PFF. That's basically, if I remember correctly, that's above average. So you're saying, okay, he's an above average left guard, and they feel like they can get more out of it. That's what it comes down to. So what it tells me is they had a big draft grade on him coming out when he came out in the draft, because that's the first thing that these general managers do when a player's available in free agency. As you guys know, they'll immediately go back to the draft grades. Here's the grade we had on him. Then they go watch the tape of him in the NFL. Oh, we can work with that. Or, nah, we missed on that. We have no interest in it.
You ready for his numbers?
Let's hear it, man.
775 offensive snaps, 54th out of 136. Penalties, 5, 91st out of 136. That I would like cleaned up a little bit. I was harping on penalties last year, so we need to clean that up. Sacks allowed, 1. 51st out of 136. So obviously he's going to be, sandwiched in with a bunch of other people. But 1 sack. I mean, so you're how many did Josh Myers give up? Do we not remember chalk talking when Josh Myers pulled right and then looped back around and was just in the turnstile looking at Jordan like, wow, dude, what a throw.
Yeah, exactly, man. So I thank you for pulling up. I thought I didn't want to misspeak, but I thought it was 1 sack was all he allowed. So thank you for looking that up. Andy Monday in the chat said the Banks critics need to consider the context of replacing Myers with Jenkins, plus the Banks injury was noticeable. So there you go. Holmes MD 1. Yeah, Banks balled before he got hurt. So again, I think this is a significant upgrade over Josh Myers.
Right.
I really do.
And to the Banks injury, like, okay, where we say that Goody doesn't take shots on, people with injuries, bam. I mean, you signed a guy after an injury. It's just the fact that maybe we gave Josh too many shots. It's so you're just kind of looking at everything with a grain of salt when you're kind of taking a step back before the season. Like, all right, you had to do it. You had to move on from Josh. You brought in Aaron Banks. Okay, now we need to find a center. You got to move on from Josh Myers. Like, these just processes that have to happen.
Yeah. Chase Green says, Clayton, I want to pull and guard on counter. If he is okay in pass pro, that is all right. Jacobs on counter plays can produce. And there were several clips. I remember when we signed Aaron Banks, there were people pulling some tape. And that'd be a fun one to try to – if we're running out of time, camp's pretty much here. But I remember seeing him downfield. I do.
Yeah.
He's a big old boy. Could you imagine 6'5", 325 pounds running at you full sprint?
Linebackers are out there like,
get ready to go.
They're like, get ready to go home. I ain't trying to hit this big hog mile. Lord have mercy. As Holmes says, pin and pull. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, moving along. Mecole Hardman. Look at these PFF grades, man. This surprised the heck out of me. Starting in 2019, these are his career PFF grades. 68, 69, 70, 68, 2023, 55. However, minimal snaps there. It looks like he got banged up. And then last year he got hurt as well, 72.8 before he got hurt. How many snaps did he play last year? Where's that total snaps up? It looked like it's about, 100? The way they got him lined up here. Backfield, not slot. So he was in the slot 43 times. He was out wide 64 times, inline 1, backfield 6. So you're looking at about 70 to 80 snaps he got last year. So it's not like a extremely low sample size. It'd be different if it was 20 snaps, 30 snaps. But he's still playing. I mean, that's the highest grade he's had of his entire career so far. We know he's a speed demon. He can contribute on special teams. I love this because it gives you another option. For me, get Jaden Reed off the return team. He's too valuable at the F position. And let's let Mecole Hardman become the return guy, and obviously a speed guy who can play F. We've seen that kind of their slot role, their moving Z up there in Kansas City, or down there in Kansas City, I should say. And you've also seen him take the top off of defenses as well. I like this signing. Guys, you're talking about minimal cap hit too. The veteran minimum, to the best of my knowledge. So really like this signing here.
Looking at his snaps, looks like he had 74 pass snaps with 14 targets, 72 routes runs, leading with 12 receptions, so 90 receiving yards. My only worry, Clay, on Mecole is just the run blocking. I just don't know if Matt's going to trust him to do all that stuff. But like you said, if it's maybe a special teams thing, or maybe he just, hey, I want to, I'm fine with blocking. If you're adamant, if you want to do it, cool. It's just when you kind of get run over and it kind of messes up the play, that's the issue. But if you're out there and willing, man, I'm totally fine with it.
And we've seen Bo Melton play a little backup F last year when Jaden got hurt. And there's other players that can do it. Wicks can do it. It's not ideal. Watson can do it. He did his whole rookie year, but Watson's banged up. The one that doesn't ever do it is Romeo Doubs. They just stuff him over at the X and kind of let it go.
Do your thing.
So I'm not as concerned with the run blocking, Emilio, if he plays F when Jaden Reed maybe kicks out the Z. But
I'm just saying in the aspect of like too many, like we're only keeping him like 74 out of his, or 72 out of his 74 were routes run. Like I just don't want it to be a, if like we're bringing Musgrave out there, we're passing the ball kind of thing. That's what I don't want it to turn into with Mecole. That
makes sense. And for me too, when you kind of look at it, it's what I was getting at is like, it feels like he's probably going to be the reason that Bo Melton doesn't make the roster, or Bo Melton is going to be the reason he doesn't make the roster. Does that make sense? So that's kind of that backup F role type thing, especially if they try to really start to work Wicks in at boundary X a little bit more. And listen, man, I'm still not ruling out that Romeo Doubs might be traded. I mean, it got leaked out. They were trying to trade him this offseason, right? So that's still kind of on the table. But I can't help but grin thinking, who's behind these guys? Oh, wait, they're not behind them. They're in front of them. Right. Matthew Golden. You know what I mean? Like, you forget that we freaking drafted a first-round wide receiver. And I get excited because we've seen what receivers who Goody drafted in the second round has done. Mm-hmm. Christian Watson, dog, Jaden Reed.
And they wanted to get Christian Watson in the first, right? It just didn't work out. So it's not like it's not like he wasn't willing to. It just didn't work out. But here, all right, now the first-round tag is on him. So everybody expects 100 times more out of him. I just want him to tear it up. I mean, he seems like a genuine dude. We were watching that fishing video after the pod last night. Dude, just super genuine, you know what I mean? So, love that.
A lot, man. What I like the most about Matthew Golden as a person, I relate to this. Listen, I'm not trying to get preachy. I'm a Christian. That doesn't mean I'm holy or anything better than anybody else. It means I need some help. I'm an idiot. I'm a knucklehead. I screw up every day. I need some grace. All right, that's what that means. But Matthew Golden will post scripture and stuff. He'll tweet that out or Instagram it out.
Love that.
And then he'll be working on his craft, and I'm telling you, he sounds like a heathen. He F this, F that. He's like just so focused on the work, and I'm like, I'm not saying it's right. Some could say it's somewhat hypocritical. I relate to that because it's an everyday battle for me to try to be a little bit better person.
Right.
And to hear him have that fire and then try to turn it off, and he's going and taking kids shopping for shoes down in Texas, and he's out on the boat fishing with Barron Sorrell, and it's just like, I don't know, man. I think he's going to be a good fit. I would be very, very surprised if we look up in 3 years and go, man, we missed on Matthew Golden. I think he's probably going to be a contributor. So,
can't wait.
Right. Moving along, Nate Hobbs, another addition here, and I added Isaiah Simmons in too. We'll get to it. So Nate Hobbs, a little bit different story, right? Not as consistent, although He's never graded out less than less than a 60. So his rookie year, his best year by far, 80.1. 2022, it was a 60. Then he jumps to a 69. Last year, he falls back to a 61. Now, I want to point out his passer rating when targeted. If he had been on the Green Bay Packers last year, he would have had the second best passer rating when targeted, only behind Carrington Valentine. He had a better passer rating when targeted than Jair Alexander. So if you're just looking at strictly passer rating when targeted, you improve there. Now, I know it's a different style of player. They've got him listed at 6'1", 195 here on PFF. He's probably going to be our starting slot corner, our nickelback, and then he's going to go kick outside in our base defense. So with Nate Hobbs, I think they're going to try to get what he showed his rookie year. And if I remember correctly, I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe Rich Bisaccia was the coach that year, the interim coach. You guys fact check me on that, but I think I heard somebody talking about that. So if you just get him up into the upper 60s, you understand what I'm saying? Right. That would be a nice little improvement there as well. And what wasn't on that list in terms of the net gain that we talked about, let me just say it was a positive net gain of plus 247. I'm well aware Jair Alexander wasn't on that list because these metrics came out before Jair was cut, released, or what have you. So you're going to lose some spots there. There's no doubt about it. However, I don't think anybody's trying to pretend like Jair is a solid number one cornerback based off what we've seen the last few years. Like it's not like he's elite Jair Alexander. And you guys know I wanted him back on the team for St. Philly. So just wanted to point that out. I'm not trying to skew the numbers and go, oh, yeah, he conveniently left out Jair Alexander's departure. It is a hit. There's no doubt about it. But when you look at what Nate Hobbs has done, I think we're going to get the best out of this dude. I really do, man. And I'm really excited about Carrington Valentine locking up that right cornerback spot. So
absolutely. And so we had his total snaps 554 last year, so more than Ja. But his season stats, 39 solo tackles, 73rd out of 222. Interceptions, he had 1, 42nd out of 222. Pressures, 3, and receptions allowed 31. That puts him at 77. So he's right around that, second, third corner, slot corner, wherever he is. I think that's a totally fair spot. I'm almost thinking they might not even move him outside in the base there and just kind of leave Carrington and Keyshawn where they're at. Maybe rotate all three of those on a rotation just to keep them fresh. Because if you're running extra roam the whole time, running those streaks, you're going to get gassed at some point. Let's not make a mistake out there because you're dog tired, hanging your head. You just don't want to come out for a snap. Let's keep everybody fresh. I think that's a power move there.
Definitely. H.E. Solder in the chat says Hobbs was only good because of Max Crosby. This is sarcasm, of course. And then who was it that said at home said Max Crosby. So CJN says, imagine if all these free agents come in and play to their best ability. OMG. Tim, I have no reason to believe that Goody don't know what the heck he's doing in free agency, man, because that dude, he is hit. Boy, oh boy, is he hit. I mean, we talked about Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney yesterday, and go back to when he signs Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, and Adrian Amos. All three of those solid contributors, starting players, went out and balled out, and they have one of the best defenses they had in a long time. Granted, it was under Mike Pettin at the time, but I'm very, very confident in Goody's ability to sign these free agents. And I think he may not hit on all of them, but if he hits on one or two, defense is going to be better. No doubt about it.
Yeah, it's almost like our GM knows what he's doing, right? Who would have thought?
Exactly. So this was interesting here. No Zach says, we like Zach. We want Zach. What do you mean no Zach? The issue with Hobbs, he's been injured as much as Ja. That's simply not true, Zach. He has not been as injured as Ja. Ja has played less than 50% of the snaps in the last 3 years. And last year, how many snaps did Ja have? Was it in the 300s, Emilio?
Yeah,
well, I
want to say it was like 320 or 350, something like that.
You said Nate Hobbs cracked 500 last year, right?
550.
Yeah. The year before, I want to say he played 700 snaps.
The year before, he played 775. And the year before that, we have him at 667. So, I mean, he is north of 500, looks like every year. In 2021, his best year, he was 837. So this past year at 550 was his lowest snaps played in a season.
Yeah. And Zach, no disrespect, man. I'm not saying that he's been healthy every snap. I understand what you're getting at, but it's not comparable to Ja's situation. It got to the point where Ja was just not available ever. So Isaiah, and the other frustrating part with that too, guys, and the reason they wanted to structure the contract the way they did rather than a roster bonus, they wanted a game-by-game bonus kind of scenario there with Ja, is because there were times they felt like he was healthy and he felt like he wasn't. And then, it's like the Chicago game. I believe it was the Chicago game. They activate him, right? Okay, Ja's active. He's good to go. He played like 10 snaps. Then he had to be pulled because he was still hurt. Well, guess what? I'm not trying to be, insensitive here, but now you're down a hat. You're down a hat at the cornerback position. You could have activated someone. It's not about is that player better than this player, but now you've got to really control the personnel in which you put on the field, and it shakes up your special teams as well. So it does come into play big time.
In that 2021 season, he had 54 solo tackles and 9 pressures. 9 pressures put him second out of 238 corners that year. So I think that slot is going to be huge, man. I think it really is.
And the other one here, the wild card, in my opinion, Isaiah Simmons. Listen, he's a physical freak. He was drafted, 8th overall there in the 2020 draft. They said he could play safety, corner, and edge rusher. Now, I call BS on a lot of that, obviously, but nonetheless,
That's
never
the problem.
been.
They haven't found a spot for him to play.
Right. It's kind of like the whole Bill Parcells quote, right? If you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. You know what I mean? If you got 2 starting quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. With Isaiah Simmons, though, I think they're really going to let him settle in and play stack backer. So his PFF grades, though, 59, 49, 67, 68, and then he was banged up last year, it looks like. I don't know how many snaps he played last year. Let's see if we get a total there. 170-some snaps. So he was banged up last year. So before he got hurt last year, the previous 2 years, we're talking about a 67, then he improved to a 68. So you're seeing that significant, kind of that ascension that we talked about. And him having to wear multiple hats, and that's his words, not mine. He's really excited about finally getting to settle into playing one position, which is going to be stack backer in this defense. I would not be surprised at all if he completely passes up Isaiah McDuffie on the depth chart. And if he beats out Tyron Hopper, too, and he's the 3rd best linebacker, put him on the field, man. Put him on the field. Now, there's always a chance, too, here, Tim, that he may get cut. He may not make the roster, right? Same thing with Mecole Hardman. But I think based off of what you got there in the bang for your buck in terms of another minimum contract, we talked about Goody going out and get 2 high-profile free agents spending pretty big money, right? And we talked about him drafting a wide receiver in the first round for the first time in 23 years or whatever it was. And then on top of that, he went out and got a couple bargain bin free agents as well. So no one can sit here and say Goody is
Isaiah Simmons and it's so true, man. Like, I think that goes under the radar, right? Isaiah Simmons acquisition, that's probably one of Goody's more under the radar moves. Bringing in Aaron Banks was huge for our O-line. There's another great free agent move. So, Goody gets a lot of heat, and I don't understand why. I think Simmons is a great signing. I think Mecole Hardman's a great signing. And like you said, time will tell if they make this team. But bottom line, man, you're making yourself better, and that's what you want your GM to do.
Definitely. Deadfish says Simmons had a 4.39 40, and as Holmes pointed out, Simmons is the fastest backer in that room, and it's not even that close. I mean, think about that. He is faster than Edger and Cooper. He's faster than Quay, both physical freaks, So going to be interesting, man. So, again, that's just kind of a quick little recap just to show net gain in free agency minus Jair Alexander, but pretty significant what we did there. We improved from Josh Myers to Aaron Banks, from 129th ranked free agent to 72nd. You improved from Eric Stokes being the 188th cornerback. You pick up Nate Hobbs at 85. Again, this doesn't include Jair Alexander, but get some kind of echo there, boys. Somebody's side. Must have been you, Tim. Yeah, see you muted there. But so, yeah, you see a significant improvement, in my opinion, on the players they lost and the players they picked up. So anything else on the free agent talk?
Even to Isaiah Simmons, just the last point. From last year, he had 181 snaps, 14 solo tackles. That's just shy of 13% of the time he's getting a solo. He had under 200 snaps. He got 14 tackles. I love that. And he forced a fumble, which put him 15th out of 189 backers. So out of, just shy of 200 snaps, you'd had basically 15 tackles and a forced fumble. I love that. I mean, you're around the ball, you're active, you don't care.